This may come to a surprise to you, but you may not actually have dementia. You might actually have PTSD. Hey, I'm Dr. Harry McCleary, licensed clinical psychologist and Navy veteran. And I spend the majority of my week treating active duty service members with PTSD. When a lot of people start to have memory difficulties, and many of us have different bouts of memory difficulties throughout our life for multiple reasons. A lot of people's first go-to is dementia, especially when dementia runs in their family, or if they're past a certain age. They think, if I can't find my keys, if I can't remember people's names, then I must be in the early stages of Alzheimer's or some other dementia. And that might not be the case. There are many reasons why we have memory difficulties. Some may be related to other mental health disorders such as PTSD or depression or anxiety. It might be related to certain medications. It might be related to different stress that we might be under. Or we might just have a lot of stuff going on. Our brain can only take so much. And after so much, we'll start to put to the side things that our brain feels like we don't need. Turns out we might need some of those things. So how does PTSD affect your memory? Great question, I'm glad you asked. PTSD affects your memory in multiple ways, but really it affects your memory the most in the area that we call avoidance. So after a trauma happens, or after a series of traumas happen, often the last thing that we want to do is remember that memory. We want to put it away. We want to shove it down. We may not even want to think about or talk about anything that's even related. If we have a combat trauma, we might not want to talk about any of our military experience. That takes cognitive room. That takes room up here. That takes effort. And for some people, it takes a whole lot of effort. That effort is taking up space that you could remember something with. Taking up space to where you could remember that person's name at the grocery store, or could remember that number that you used to remember. You only have so much capacity. Think of it like this. You're cooking. This actually happened to me the other day. You're cooking multiple things, trying to put a good meal together for your family. You got something in the oven. If you're me, you got some asparagus roasting in the oven that you should be keeping an eye on. You got some other things on the stove. Maybe you got something boiling. I had some sweet potatoes boiling. I can tell you guys my whole meal. I had something else searing in the pan. Had some things steaming in the microwave, trying to keep all this together. And you know what happened? Well, I got on my phone on some social media, tending to the things on the stove. Guess what happened to the thing in the oven? Yeah, I burnt it. Burnt it to ash. Thing is, because I was cooking other things, the other smells kind of covered up what was going on in the oven. This happens with our brain all the time regarding our memories and how we can think. So when we have a trauma and we use all of our cognitive energy trying not to think about that trauma, or trying to avoid certain things that may be related to that trauma, or certain emotions that may be related to that trauma, we're really working on half a tank of gas, maybe a quarter tank of gas. Those things heavily affect your memory, can heavily affect the way you concentrate on anything. So PTSD, just like depression or anxiety, can heavily affect your memory. I'm not saying that people with certain dementias don't exist. Of course they do. And that is a serious issue as well. However, if you're having memory difficulties to the point where you feel like it's out of control. Your family is starting to comment on it left and right. I suggest you see somebody. And they're going to ask you the questions that I just went over. Well, have you been anxious? Are you under any stress? Do you have PTSD? They'll ask you all these questions. What type of medications are you on? Because all of these things can affect your memory. But what you can do now, because you're equipped with more knowledge, is you can ask yourself these things. What other things might be related to these memory difficulties? And if you can name some of those off, that means you can probably work to fix some of those things, alleviate some of those things. Think about the stress. Think about the multiple things that you have going on. Think about getting treatment for a trauma that you haven't processed and that you don't want to think about anymore. All those things are ways that you can help your memory, help the people around you, and most importantly, help yourself. Something to think about. If this video was helpful for you, please like it, subscribe to my channel if you want to learn more about PTSD. But more important than that, as always, if this video was helpful for you, that means it can probably be helpful for somebody else as well. So I ask that you share it with another veteran. Share it with a family or friend of another veteran. Because at the end of the day, that's what this is all really about. One veteran trying to help another.